This is the video review for the Transformers Prime Weaponizer Optimus Prime figure. And I really like this figure. He's got a pretty nice truck mode. The back does look pretty ugly, but considering that this is more of a kid's toy than a collector's item, I am totally fine with this. Although I do think if you filled in these sections here with something maybe blue silly putty or something, or just some extra plastic I have lying around, I think that would improve it a lot. I may end up doing a video if I can find something that fits in there, but otherwise, it's a really nice figure. It doesn't really need that many fixes. And yeah, it's a really nice looking truck for the most part, and it rolls really well. And I know some people don't like these kinds of wheels. They're the kind that plug on rather than pin on, but I really like these. Now, I understand that the first couple of figures, and at least recent memory, that used this kind of wheel construction, that was Transformers Prime Knockout and Viacon, they didn't roll very well, but those figures were like the tests or the initial usage of these. Hasbro hadn't quite mastered how to use them, but these wheels, they roll pretty well, just as well as any pinned-on kind of wheel. And I really like this kind of wheel construction because, one, it makes figures cheaper to produce. I know that's not really a big deal for me, but two, because the wheels aren't pinned on, there's not really a quality control issue with them. Because what happened with pinned wheels is if the pin went in at an angle, which happened fairly frequently, at least for my figures, then the wheel would be sort of off balance, and then the entire thing wouldn't sit flat, or the pin would be in too tight, and I just much prefer not having to deal with any of that quality control issue, and this is a good roll. Maybe not quite as good of a roll as if it were a pin, but this is objectively a good roll, and I do like these wheels, and I do want people to recognize these more, because I'm getting a little bit tired of hearing people complain about them on the forums, because they're really a decent design. Now anyway, this thing is a weaponizer figure, and unfortunately you have to prime the gimmick by pulling this down, because this thing clips in too tightly around this gray hinge for these to push it out. So you prime it by pulling this down, then you press the button up here, and the guns come out and spin. And I really do like these weaponizer gimmicks. They're neat and kinetic. Although I do think Bumblebee's gimmick was a bit less intrusive. Actually, not really intrusive at all. It didn't affect the figure at all. But on Prime, when we get to robot mode, you'll see what this does to the robot mode. It's not actually as bad as a lot of people have said, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, to transform this guy, it's pretty simple, and if this weren't obviously meant to be a kid's toy, it would be kind of insulting. But since it is, you know, meant to be a gimmick toy and a kid's toy, it's not that bad, especially since the overall thing does work pretty well. And then you'll pop this down, around, and then there's a little hole there and a tab there. Put those in and do the same to the other side. And then we'll pull up the head, and then we'll pop the arms from the back of the tractor tractor, and then pop them around, and then clip them onto the side here, and then fold this around, put it under, and tab it in, and do the same to the other side. Then straighten out the legs, fold out the toes, split his legs, aim up your camera, and look, he's riding a motorcycle. Rotate the arms forward, and then arrange everything. And this is Weaponizer Optimus Prime in robot mode. And I do think this is a really nice looking robot mode. Now granted, it cheats a lot because he has a faux chest, or basically a faux every robot part. Almost nothing of his actual robot mode, except for the lower legs here, are made of the vehicle mode, which is kind of off-putting at first, because basically it means that he's two toys. He is a robot and a truck that are just sort of stacked on top of each other. It's kind of similar to the Universe 2.0 Silverbolt figure. Or what's his name? Yeah, Silverbolt. And it is a bit of a shame how he transforms, although I do like the end result, except for he has a big backpack. Now, I actually don't mind this backpack that much because, well, the backpack gives you this gimmick. And if you've watched the show and played with the other toys, you know no other incarnation of Optimus Prime has these guns, at least not yet. So, it seems pretty fair to me to say that this Optimus Prime has a backpack because he is literally wearing a backpack. And the backpack contains these guns, which are not standard for Optimus Prime, and all the guns and all the ammunition and stuff required for the guns. So, if you think about it as he is literally wearing a backpack because he needs the extra firepower that the backpack gives him through those guns, then it's not that bad, especially considering that he has these big-ass heels, which make this backpack, which is actually a relatively light backpack. These big-ass heels make it so he doesn't fall over very easily. So I do think the backpack isn't as big of a deal as a lot of people say, but it would have been nice if they had been able to integrate this part of the vehicle mode in a bit better, especially since you can blatantly see the windows there, even though he has the faux windows out there. And while I do like the weapon gimmick in this mode, I don't quite like how these things just come up. I wish these didn't come up at all for the weapon gimmick, or they folded up or something, because it's a nice gimmick and I do like it, but it just would have been nice if those hadn't come up. Now for articulation, so he actually has a fair amount of articulation, except in the head. The head can only look left and right and up and down a little bit. That's the extent of the range. The arms, however, can rotate around 360, go in and out, rotate above the elbow, and bend 90 degrees at the elbow, and his hands can rotate. Legs go forward, back, in, out. And the in-out, that is such a nice sounding ratchet. I love this ratchet. The joint design on this figure is so much better than on Weaponizer Bumblebee, because Weaponizer Bumblebee's ratchets were way too strong and didn't give a good gradation. This is a good gradation. So he has quite a bit of posability, and like I was saying, he has good balance. And overall, I think it's just a really fun toy. If you're looking into figures that look perfect, then I would recommend First Edition Optimus Prime, but if you want a big, chunky, fun Optimus Prime, then I think the Weaponizer Optimus Prime is a good choice for you. I've certainly enjoyed the figure, and yeah, I do recommend it. So, I review Transformers, Macross figures, Brave figures, Power Rangers figures, just a ton of stuff. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.